here we go with me, your guest host today, Peter Ogburn. I am joined by Jonathan Levy, a good friend of the show. Follow him on Twitter at Wolf Levy. And I'm so excited to welcome Executive Director of the Sierra Club, Michael Brune, in studio. Make sure you go get everything you need to from them at sierraclub.org. Check them out. Stay up to date on all things environmental issues. You're really going to want to use them as a source for information for the next at least 4 years. Michael, thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me, Peter.
Well, here we are. The election is over. We now know Donald Trump will be our president. Are you guys freaking out?
Let's take a moment on that.
Yeah. I mean, I still have pause before I say it.
If it wasn't the time that it is, I would be doing a shot when you said that.
I know. It pains me. It actually hurts. It physically hurts.
No reason why we can't.
Yeah, right? I like your style, Michael.
It's 7:30.
I like your style. Well, I've had shots earlier.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Are you guys super concerned? Let me put it this way. What are you most fearful of in the Trump presidency for when it comes to environmental issues?
We are fearful of the Trump presidency and obviously the coordination with the White House, with growing number of climate-denying state Republican governors, growing number of climate-denying state legislators, what seems to be deeply conservative and increasingly conservative Supreme Court, and all of this working in tandem to reward big polluters across the country.
Yeah, I mean, that you bring up the states, the courts. Is the Trump presidency what we should be fearing here? Or is it the fact that the state legislatures are at an imbalance we've never seen before? Governors are at an imbalance we've never seen before. What's the most scary thing of this horror show for you?
Well, this is a great thing to do first in the morning, right? Yeah, this is a real wake-up call.
You guys are rough. It clearly heads and shoulders above anything else is the Trump presidency. Mm-hmm. We can be honest with ourselves and acknowledge the fact that on November 7th and the morning of November 8th before the election, things were pretty rough for a lot of people. We did have pretty severe economic inequality. The racism that was in this country and the misogynism that existed in this country was profound, and it put a lot of people in some challenging situations. Mm-hmm. But we did have in the White House someone who more often than not fought on the side of what is good and trying to push hard, at least on climate change and environmental protection, even if he didn't go as far as what was needed all the time. Now we have someone who, when he is elected, will be the only head of state that denies that climate change is real, and who has
Chinese hoax, he calls it, I believe.
Chinese hoax, yes.
He never said that. Sorry.
Yeah, so
he did say that, by the way. He tweeted it.
Well, he tweeted it. Did he say it?
Mm-hmm. I guess that's up for debate.
I actually believe he does speak out his tweets.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So we have to worry about what the presidency in conjunction with governors and Congress is going to do, mm-hmm. and there'll be lots of things that we have to fight back.
So you look at talk to me about the progress that we've made in the last 8 years. I guess it's a low bar to have a president who believes in climate change, which we've had, but Barack Obama actually did some really sort of monumental changes to try and help with climate change. Tell us a little bit about what he did and if those are in danger.
Sure, and I'll accentuate the fact that he did a lot, and he was supported by a big, diverse, growing movement, which matters a lot. But what we've achieved in the last few years is, overall, the United States has cut its carbon pollution more than any other country. We have dramatically increased the fuel efficiency of our vehicles. Two EPA rules signed by Obama cut carbon pollution by 10%, just
Wow.
those two things alone.
That's an amazing thing to look at, and also look at the fact that unemployment has been going down and the economy has been growing, which we were always told for years that you can't do both.
Yep.
You either protect the planet or you protect jobs.
Exactly. And so during the Obama administration, for the first time in U.S. history and globally for the first time in world history, that's what happened. We divorced economic growth from pollution, and we found a way to grow the economy to create millions of jobs in the U.S. and cut the amount of pollution that we're producing, not just carbon or methane, but air and water pollution across a variety of different categories. We have helped to secure the retirement of about 240 coal plants in the U.S., which are being replaced by clean energy. More than 1 million homes now have solar up on their rooftops. There's more than 500,000 electric vehicles on the road. We have been able to cut the amount of mercury pollution that is a potent brain poison by more than 90%. All of this was done, again, with a Congress that for the last 6 years of his administration didn't want to take action. And much of it, not all of it, but much of it will be under threat starting next January.
So are you saying that a rational fear of the Trump administration is that they are pro-brain poison?
There was a whole, like in the days after the election, there were a lot of people who said, well, let's just wait and see what Trump is going to do. Let's give him a chance. Let's wait and see. Mm-hmm. Are you in that crowd, or are you in the crowd that, well, he's shown us exactly where he's going to go, so we've got to start taking action now?
No. I was never in the wait and see category.
Good.
The president-elect gave us a lot of evidence of what he would do.
Yeah.
And then just look at his appointments, right? You don't have to go past Steve Bannon.
Yeah.
You don't have to. No. So let's look at climate change. So there are some, maybe a couple of my colleagues here and there, who will say, look, in a New York Times interview, if you look at it, there is this one half sentence where he said, I have an open mind. So let's neglect the last 18 months where at every opportunity he said that climate change doesn't exist. Let's neglect the fact that the person who is appointed to lead the transition for the EPA is one of the leading climate deniers, and every single appointee so far have been climate deniers. But let's look at that one sentence in the New York Times interview one Friday afternoon, and maybe he does have an opportunity to pivot on this one.
It is amazing. It is amazing how people cling to that interview too, also ignoring the fact that he has a personality disorder where he needs to be loved, especially by the New York Times, and was literally just saying whatever he thought the people in that room would like. We are far too willing to throw out too much, and that's why it's great to have folks like you actually fighting for this and trying to stop it. Can we?
Yeah, of course we can. So we have a good track record to look back on under the Bush administration, even before that with the Reagan administration. There are ample opportunities to fight back in the courts. There's ample opportunities to fight back in the marketplace, because right now on climate change, increasingly, most of the business community is aligning towards climate solutions. Mm-hmm. There are dozens of companies who have made commitments to go all the way to 100% clean energy. There are dozens of mayors now who have made commitments to go all the way to 100% clean energy, off gas, off coal, off oil, off nuclear power. And increasingly, a super majority of the American public believes in climate change. So we can fight back in the marketplace, in the courts. We can fight back in Congress to hold the Democratic firewall. And we're definitely going to fight back in the streets to show that there is an angry majority of the American public that's not going to tolerate all these rollbacks or even attempted rollbacks.
Donald Trump promised us, as candidate Trump, that he would get rid of the EPA. He would abolish the EPA, just get rid of it. Is that doable? Maybe I'm being naive, but is that something that is on your radar?
Well, when he takes office, we're still going to have this thing called a constitution. Right?
Say what?
Yeah. So read up on
this?
It. Get ready.
He might not know that yet.
Might be an inconvenience. Look, so to do anything like that, to put into force any of the things that he's talked about, repealing Obamacare, taking all these lots of actions across the spectrum, he's going to need congressional support. Mm-hmm. He does have Mitch McConnell. He does have Paul Ryan. They do have majorities in Congress.
They're both tree huggers, right?
Big time, right?
Big environment.
Oh, yeah.
Long time. Huge. Huge.
So
those are going to be important fights, and we're going to need to make sure that the 48 Democrats and a couple independents who caucus with them hold the line and resist all of these rollbacks. And then the Republicans who are up for election in Nevada, in Maine, and other states, who are going to face voters. They need to vote the right way.
Yeah, I mean, holding the coalition is going to be tough. You look at some of the folks we have there. We have people like Joe Manchin in the Senate, at least for now, unless he goes to be the head of energy. He's a Democrat, but he's from West Virginia, and he loves coal. You have Heidi Heitkamp, who's going to be, again, unless she is poached to go do agriculture, who from North Dakota, who is going to be very open to, gas drilling. Do you think the coalition exists?
Yes, I do. So to hold filibuster in the Senate, you need 41. There are 48 Democrats and independents. So I do think that depending on what the vote is, there's a risk of losing one or two, or three or four. There's always the opportunity to gain one or two or three or four Republicans.
Who are the Republicans we should be looking at and targeting for this?
Dean Heller in Nevada, Jeff Flake, perhaps
In
Arizona.
Ben Sass, that guy.
I'm sorry, what did you call him?
Ben Sass.
Oh, that's not what I heard.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
But he's one of the guys. I mean, he's
Yeah.
like a thinking Republican, right? The guy from Indiana,
I don't.
isn't he?
I don't. He's from Nebraska.
Sure, yeah, that's right.
And he's thinking, and he stood up to Trump. I don't know how his record is on the environment.
I don't either.
Well, so here's the interesting thing. And this is the future of climate change regarding politics, whether it really takes hold in January of 2017 or 2021 or 2025. Look at Nebraska. So in Nebraska, we have been working for years to stop the Keystone XL pipeline, a lot of it with support from conservative farmers and ranchers. We have been working for years as well in the Omaha Power District to retire coal plants in the district, which are polluting Republicans just as much as Democrats and conservatives just as much as progressives. And in the Omaha Power District, they've retired their coal plants. They're replacing it with clean energy. They're going to be over 40% wind by the end of next year, of 2017, with the support of conservative Republicans. Same thing has happened in Oklahoma with the support of state-level Republicans. They've retired their coal plants, replacing that power with wind. Same thing happening in South Dakota, in Kansas, in Texas. So we're starting to see a lot of growth of clean energy, and a lot of it is happening in deeply, deeply red, deeply conservative districts.
Okay, there's a little ray of sunshine. I feel good about this. We're getting the dark clouds out of the studio. Michael, when we left, you gave us just a brief glimpse of hope.
Yeah, sure.
The tiniest ray of sunshine coming through a dark, dark cloud.
And that's okay. I'll cling to that.
Yeah, desperately.
Hold on to it tightly.
Yeah, right? Is there hope?
Yeah, most definitely. So the thing about climate change and a lot of the work that we do across the progressive spectrum is that there are many ways of affecting change. On climate, you can affect change in the private sector, at the city level, state level. And the one thing that President-elect Trump can't change is the fact that clean energy is now cheaper than fossil fuels. So in 50 states across the country, solar and wind are cheaper than coal, cheaper than gas, way cheaper than nuclear power. And so we have an opportunity to take offline coal plants, take offline gas plants, replace them with solar and wind, create a whole lot more jobs in the process, and show that we can make progress at the city, at the state, regional level, in the private sector, even if we have all of these attempted rollbacks coming from White House and the Congress.
That is good news. That's good news we should hear more of. I mean, I'm glad that you guys are saying it. You have been for a long time, and you guys are the loudest and strongest voices on it. But, like, it's really hard. It's really hard to fight against the argument, well, this is cleaner and it's cheaper. And
it puts more people to work.
Yeah.
And it'll reduce a whole different category of air pollution.
And we need to say that it puts people to work every breath we get, every time we talk about it, because that is something that we oftentimes miss from this argument. We get really excited about, breathing, because we're all fans of that. But for some folks,
Big fan.
breathing is secondary to actually putting food on the table. Like a distant future with smog is not as tangible as, hey, I need a job. I need a job. So I love that you bring that up, and it's something that I really hope we keep saying over and over again.
Yeah. And, I think that we shouldn't be wallowing in defeat and embracing defeatism. And I definitely don't think that we should look at the election and kill ourselves because we didn't win. However, I do think that there's room for growth among progressives and certainly among environmentalists. And the one thing that I think that environmentalists can do more of, that the Sierra Club wants to do more of, is to advocate to make sure that these new jobs, all of these solar jobs and the wind jobs and the jobs in battery storage or energy efficiency are good jobs and family-sustaining jobs, high road, high wage jobs. And so that's part of the work that we need to do over the next few years is as these coal plants are coming offline in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Illinois and in Michigan and Wisconsin and across the country, what's replacing them? What happens to these towns when these power plants come offline? what do the jobs in wind and solar look like? Are they unionized? If they're not unionized, do they use prevailing wages? Is there an opportunity to increase the level of pay for workers and give them long-term security in these positions, so that when we transition off of fossil fuels, we're increasing prosperity for a wide range of people? And it actually does. Fighting climate change does solve multiple problems at the same time. That is part of our challenge. Certainly on the defensive side, we have to fight like we've never fought before against the White House and the next Congress. But on the solution side, we've got to dream really big and be smart and sophisticated in how we organize.
We've got less than a minute left, 30 seconds left. People are upset. People want to help out. They want to do something. How do they do something?
We have had a surge, an overflow of volunteers in the last 3.5 weeks.
That's awesome.
So the thing about Sierra Club is that we are local. We're in every county and every state in the country. Go to sierraclub.org. Wherever you live, wherever you're listening to the show, volunteer and get involved. And then you can take over the Sierra Club brand and run the Sierra Club as a volunteer in your neighborhood. So occupy the Sierra Club, get involved, and fight back what you're hearing every day from the White House and Congress.
That's great stuff. A very, very powerful and important voice you're going to be hearing for certainly the next 4 years, but beyond that, maybe. Michael Brune, the executive director of the Sierra Club, sierraclub.org. Thanks for coming in, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Follow us on Twitter @BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.